All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Today, we're taking a close look at Chicago's Metra Union Pacific Northwest line.
The UPNW, one of the big ones.
Exactly. We're talking about ridership, how many people actually use it.
Yeah, and where they're going. Right.
Absolutely. And we'll even get into some of the cool spots to grab a bite near the stations.
Like a foodie tour by train. Sounds fun.
Oh, it definitely is. And to do all this, we've got some great sources lined up.
Let's hear it.
First off, we've got Metra's own reports. Those are always insightful.
Official numbers. Gotta love those.
Then we have this Restaurants Along the Line guide, which looks absolutely delicious, just flipping through it.
Can't wait to dig into that one.
And, of course, no deep dive is complete without some good old Wikipedia and the actual train schedule.
The nitty-gritty, the details.
Exactly. By the end of this, you'll be a UPNW expert, whether you're a daily commuter or just curious about Chicago.
I'm ready to learn something new.
So first off, this report has a stat that blew my mind. It would take 29 extra lanes on the expressway
Wow, 29 lanes.
to fit all the Metra riders.
Yeah, try merging into that.
Right. Makes you appreciate the trains, doesn't it?
Big time. Especially when you think about it, Metra handles half of all the work trips going into downtown Chicago.
Along those major expressway corridors, so we're talking serious commuting power here.
No doubt about it. But here's something interesting. The UPNW line is actually seeing fewer riders these days.
Really? Fewer riders.
Yep, compared to back in 2014.
Interesting.
It averages about 38,600 passengers each weekday now.
So still a lot of people.
Yeah, it's Metra's second busiest line. Only the BNSS has more riders.
That's pretty impressive.
It is, but that whole fewer riders thing makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, a lot of people are working from home now.
That's going to be part of it.
For sure, but there could be other factors too, right? Maybe people are moving further out or the demographics along the line are changing.
That's a good point.
It would be interesting to see how those 2014 numbers stack up to today.
I'm curious now.
Makes you wonder how Metra is planning for the future with all these trends going on.
Yeah, it's a lot to consider.
Definitely.
All right, let's get into the specifics of the UPNW line itself. Where does it actually go?
So, picture this. It starts at the Ogilvie Transportation Center downtown
Right in the heart of the city.
and runs all the way out to Harvard, Illinois.
Wow, that's a long way.
It is. It's Metra's longest route, actually.
No kidding.
Now, most trains actually stop in Crystal Lake.
Which is a bit closer to the city.
Exactly. But here's a fun fact. There's a branch that goes up to McHenry.
A separate branch.
Yeah, but get this. It only runs during rush hour on weekdays.
Rush hour only. Talk about efficiency.
They've really thought this through.
So what else makes the UPNW line's service unique?
Well, hold on to your hat because they've got over 700 trains running each weekday.
700, that's wild.
I know, right? And the average speed is about 31.5 miles per hour during peak times.
So not quite a bullet train?
Not quite, but it gets you there.
And a good chunk of those morning rush hour trains are headed straight for the Chicago CBD.
88% to be exact. So this line is basically powering a huge part of the city's workforce.
It's like the lifeblood of Chicago's morning commute.
You could say that.
Before we move on to the food, which I'm super excited about, I'm curious about the riders themselves.
Yeah, who are these people riding the UPNW line?
Does the report tell us anything about that?
It does. It's from 2013, so a bit dated, but it gives us a snapshot.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Back then, the ridership was about 72% white,
Okay,
13% black or African American,
got it.
7% Asian, and 6% Hispanic or Latino.
It'd be really interesting to see how those numbers have changed in the past decade.
Especially with those ridership trends we were talking about.
For sure, things are always evolving.
Absolutely. And speaking of change, there's a big one coming up in terms of who actually runs the UPNW line.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
So get this. In early 2024, Metra is taking over operations from Union Pacific.
So a big shift in management.
Huge. Union Pacific will still own the tracks, but Metra will be in charge of running the trains.
That could have a big impact on things.
Absolutely. Service, scheduling, you name it, even how the line is managed overall.
It makes you wonder if it's a response to those declining ridership numbers.
It's definitely a possibility.
Okay, are you ready for the fun part?
Always ready for the fun part.
Because this Restaurants Along the Line guide has me starving.
Let's dig in.
It's amazing how many awesome places to eat are right near the stations.
Like, seriously, who knew?
It's like the UPNW line is a foodie's dream come true.
All aboard the food train.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about grabbing a quick bite.
Oh, way.
This guide has everything from cozy cafes to fancy restaurants,
The whole spectrum.
and all within walking distance of the stations.
So convenient.
And each spot tells a story about the neighborhood it's in,
It's like a culinary map of Chicago.
reflecting all the different cultures and communities that make up the city.
So much to explore.
All right, let's highlight a few specific places. What jumps out at you?
Well, first of all, we got to talk about the Choo Choo.
Okay, the name alone has me intrigued.
It's in Des Plaines, right by the train tracks. They've got classic American food, vegetarian options.
Something for everyone.
And get this, they even have a coin-operated champion, the Wonder Horse, ride for the kids.
No way, that's amazing.
It's adorable.
Definitely adding that to my list.
Good choice.
What about something a little healthier?
Oh, I see Honey Bear Cafe in Rogers Park.
Honey Bear Cafe. That sounds cute.
It is, and it's a local gem.
What makes it so special?
They're known for their fresh, homemade dishes.
Homemade. Always a good sign.
Plus, they've got tons of vegetarian and gluten-free choices.
So they've got everyone covered.
Exactly. And the guide mentions their community focus, which I really appreciate.
It's nice to support businesses that give back.
For sure. Honey Bear Cafe sounds like the perfect spot for a delicious and wholesome meal.
I'm sold. And for a date night.
Ooh, date night.
I'm eyeing Chef's Station in Evanston.
Chef Station, nice choice.
They have an open kitchen concept. I'm intrigued.
It's definitely on the fancier side.
Sounds right up my alley.
They focus on contemporary American cuisine
Okay.
with fresh, seasonal ingredients.
My kind of place.
Word on the street is that the food is incredible.
But there's a wait, probably.
Yeah, especially during peak times. Be prepared to wait a bit.
I'll take it. And this is just a taste of what's out there, right?
Oh, just the tip of the iceberg?
Restaurants along the line is packed with options from all over the world.
You can spend weeks exploring them all,
It's not just about the food either. It's about experiencing the different neighborhoods.
each with its own vibe and history.
The UPNW line becomes this incredible way to discover the heart and soul of Chicago's culinary scene.
It's a journey, a delicious one at that.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny, we always think of trains as just getting us from point A to point B.
Yeah, just a way to get around.
But with all these amazing restaurants near the stations,
It changes things up a bit.
the UPNW line turns the journey itself into a whole experience.
Makes it more fun, for sure.
It's like each station is a portal to a new adventure.
A culinary
Yeah,
adventure.
exactly. Culinary and otherwise, really.
And with Metra taking over operations soon, who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, things could get really interesting.
Maybe they'll do more to connect riders with local businesses.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Imagine themed food tours or events tied to local festivals.
You're getting me excited now.
The possibilities are endless.
You've got me thinking like a tourism director now.
Well, hey, maybe there's a career change in your future.
Huh? Who knows? It's amazing how this deep dive has taken us from traffic jams to commuting patterns.
The demographics,
And now the culinary scene.
quite the journey.
And we haven't even talked about the actual train schedules yet.
Oh, yeah.
We've got those detailed schedules from Metra, and I gotta admit, they can be a bit overwhelming.
They're dense, for sure.
Full of information.
But they're full of interesting details if you know where to look.
That's the key.
What stood out to you when you first glanced at them?
Well, first of all, the sheer number of trains.
Yeah, there are a lot of them,
It's clear this line is a workhorse for commuters.
especially during rush hour.
It's like clockwork, trains coming and going constantly.
Keeps the city moving.
But it also looks pretty complex,
Oh, yeah, it's not just a straight line.
with some trains making express stops, others serving only certain branches.
And then there's the McHenry branch with its own unique schedule.
It's a lot to keep track of.
You're getting it. The weekday schedule is particularly intricate,
It's like a puzzle.
with trains starting at different points along the line, not just from the two endpoints.
Right, right.
And you're spot on about those express stops and the McHenry branch.
Yeah.
They add layers of complexity, for sure.
But it all seems so well coordinated.
It is. It's carefully orchestrated to meet the diverse needs of commuters,
Across the entire region.
especially considering that 88% of those morning peak trips are headed to the Chicago CBD.
It's a massive operation. Speaking of complexity, I noticed some interesting symbols and footnotes on the schedule.
Oh, yeah, those can be tricky.
Like, what does the X next to some of the station times mean?
Ah, the mysterious X.
It caught my eye.
That indicates a center track stop.
Tenor track stop.
So some stations have 3 tracks,
Okay.
and certain trains are scheduled to stop on the middle one.
Interesting.
It allows for smoother traffic flow, especially during rush hour when you have express trains zipping through.
So it's all about efficiency.
Got to keep things moving.
And what about those beta symbols I see scattered around?
Ah, yes, the beta
What's
symbols.
the deal with those?
Those are for our bike-loving and scooter-riding commuters.
Okay, that makes sense.
They indicate trains that allow bicycles and scooters on board.
So you can bring your wheels with you.
Exactly.
Mm.
Though it's first come, first served.
Got it.
And folks with disabilities get priority in those designated spaces.
So even within these dense schedules, there are little nuggets of information for different types of riders.
It's all in the details.
It's like a secret code just waiting to be cracked.
And as you delve deeper, you start to appreciate the planning and coordination.
That goes into keeping the system running.
Smoothly and efficiently.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. It really highlights how a train schedule is something we might take for granted.
Yeah, we just look at it to see when the train leaves.
Right. But it's a reflection of the city's pulse
Its rhythms, its diversity,
and the needs of its people.
and it's constantly evolving too.
Absolutely. Remember those declining ridership trends we talked about?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that.
Those shifts in commuting patterns will definitely lead to adjustments in the schedules.
So we might see changes coming up.
Maybe more frequent service during off-peak hours.
Or expanded weekend service.
To those restaurant hotspots we were talking about.
Now you're talking my language.
It's a dynamic system, always adapting to the changing needs of the city.
And with those changes in ridership and the upcoming shift in operational control,
Who knows what the future holds for the UPNW line?
it's exciting to think about.
Definitely. This deep dive has been fascinating so far.
We've covered a lot of ground.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered about this seemingly simple train line.
We've explored those impressive ridership numbers and how they've been shifting,
Delved into the unique service characteristics that keep the line running.
and uncovered those hidden culinary gems just waiting to be discovered.
What a ride.
You know, it's incredible how much we've learned about the Metra UPNW line today.
It really is. Who knew there was so much to unpack?
Who knew a simple train line could be so fascinating?
Right. It's like a little slice of Chicago itself.
With its own history, its own vibe.
And its own delicious food scene, don't forget that.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing that keeps coming back to me
What's that?
is that decline in ridership we talked about earlier.
Yeah, that was a bit of a head-scratcher.
It makes you think about the future of public transportation.
Not just here in Chicago, but everywhere, really.
It's a big question mark, isn't it?
It's definitely a challenge for a lot of cities these days.
But maybe it's also an opportunity
An opportunity to shake things up.
to rethink how we approach public transit.
How can we make it more appealing, more convenient for everyone?
That's the million-dollar question.
Maybe those culinary adventures along the UPNW line are part of the answer.
You know, I'm starting to think you're on to something.
Food always brings people together.
Imagine hopping on a train that takes you to amazing food, vibrant neighborhoods.
That's a commute I could get behind.
It's not just transportation, it's an experience.
Exactly. Connecting people to places, to communities.
To those delicious meals we were talking about.
Makes you want to hop on the train right now, doesn't it?
Seriously.
Ah.
So, to anyone listening who's never ridden the Metra UP and W line,
I'm talking to you.
give it a try. You might be surprised.
You never know what you'll discover.
And for those who ride it regularly,
The seasoned commuters.
look at it with fresh eyes.
There's always something new to see.
Explore a new station, try a restaurant you've never been to.
Maybe even strike up a conversation with someone you've never met.
You never know what hidden gems or new perspectives you might find.
It's all about keeping things fresh.
All right, before we wrap up this deep dive,
I got one more question for you.
hit me with it.
Considering everything we've learned today, the history, the changes coming up,
What do you think the Metra UPNW line will look like in another 100 years?
wow, 100 years, that's a tough one.
I know, but let's use our imaginations.
I envision a line that's seamlessly integrated into a network of transportation options.
So not just trains.
High-speed trains, self-driving cars, maybe even flying vehicles, who knows?
The future of transportation is wide open.
But beyond all the cool technology,
I picture a line that's even more woven into the fabric of the city.
reflecting its vibrant culture, its diverse communities,
And hopefully, still with those fantastic restaurants along the tracks.
fingers crossed for that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Metra UPNW line.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy commuting and bon appetit.